Yo, what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Tuesday, July 25th, 2023. Thank you so much for joining me in this video and trusting that you guys had a wonderful Monday. Let's take a look at the aspects for Tuesday. Got the, oh, she's cute. Anyways. I got the Women's World Cup on the back. Colombia right now is beating Korea 2-0. And that was close. Yeah, Colombia is playing South Korea right now. And wearing the same shirt that I wore yesterday. I'm not gonna lie, I had a very lazy Monday. Kind of needed it. But I'm also kind of kicking myself afterwards. And I'm like, you could have done more, but I didn't do more, and blah, 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 and stuff. But, it is what it is. Sometimes you just need days like that. So here we go, guys. So the main thing that I definitely noticed for today was the fact that we do have the nodes exactly square Pluto today. Now, if you go back to yesterday, the beginning of yesterday, it wasn't quite there. It was getting really close, But today is the day where they exactly square. And what's interesting is that the moon joins up with them too. So let's take a look at that, right? Now, before then, of course, you're going to have that moon is going to make the king conks over to Neptune before then. So, that awkward shit from across the room, right? It's like we're definitely wanting to find some peace, balance, and harmony, but we're kind of having to wake up to the reality of what's going on. Like I said, when Neptune goes retrograde, he's awake. So, there's this element where it's like we kind of have to wake up to the dream, and even though we might try and find peace and harmony in some places, it may not look exactly the way that we think it should look. But things are still all working out. I think this is about trusting the divine timing of things, right? Especially considering the fact that we did just have two planets retrograde in back-to-back days. We got Venus retrograde and we had Chiron retrograde this past weekend. So I think this is really a moment where we have to kind of have a little more grace on ourselves. If things are just a little bit slower, if we just maybe are feeling just a little bit off and stuff, and we're just trying to make the best of the situations, just trying to find some peace and harmony within those situations, because things definitely are looking kind of weird right now. Things are definitely feeling kind of weird just in general. We have Pluto, of course, just back home. I think what this is that we got a little bit of the taste of the Pluto and Aquarius energy, and then it went backwards, and now we are all just sort of like, well, dang, we thought we could just run away and escape what we created. We thought we could just run away and escape the world, but no, it's like we had to take some personal responsibility and some accountability, here. But I think there's an element where we just feel like since we live in such an instant gratification world, we're looking for quick fixes. But this is not quick fix kind of energy. So if you're looking for that quick fix kind of energy right now in your life, if you're looking for like that instant gratification, if you're looking for, and of course within reason, we all look for instant gratification in some places. Sure, we have the internet, right? But if you're applying that to like every aspect of your life and you're just looking for those short-term goals because of short-term feelings, if you will, and you're not thinking like more long-term and more strategic, then that's when you can kind of find yourself in some weird places. It's like Jocko Willing, I think he talks about the difference between like a tactical decision and like a strategic one. Or tactical, you think about like that in the moment kind of spot treatment. It's that in the moment, quick, gratifying, usually emotionally driven kind of, action. Or you could think more long-term, more strategic, and how this will benefit in the long run, regardless and despite how you may feel in the moment. That doesn't mean that we disregard how we feel in the moment. We absolutely should address how we feel in the moment. But if we consistently base our actions off of what the current is, instead of just kind of like waiting in the current, seeing where it takes us, seeing where this river goes, then maybe we won't have as many knee-jerk reactions to a lot of different things. So I think right now there's definitely a potential for knee-jerk reactions, especially with North Node Chiron now in Aries, where that's going to be a lot of the focus, like spiritually, is when it comes to this axis. This is definitely going to be an important moment to realize that, we all have our trauma, we all have our wounding, we all have a lot of growth. You know what I'm saying? And we are all just trying to find our way in this world. We are all just trying, we are all individuals, but we still have like that social element, that social capacity. And we're all looking for some form of acceptance, if you will. So, I think just keeping that in mind, I think it's a blessing that we have the moon in Libra during this time to try and bring a little bit of that positivity here, even though, like I said, it does meet up with these nodes, so the moon's going to meet up with the nodes here, around 11:30 in the morning. So it's going to happen pretty early in the morning here on the East Coast anyways. And it meets up with them at 29 degrees. Then it goes into Scorpio. And what's going to be great about this moon in Scorpio is that this is the first time in 18 months that the moon will be in Scorpio without the South Node. The moon in Scorpio over the last 18 months has felt insane. It's like very like emotionally hot and cold, weird situations. Just like, and it felt very deep. And sometimes it like you could take just and I am a Scorpio, right? I'm a 12th house Scorpio, so I know about this energy. I have Mars and Pluto; they're all conjunct my Sun, so in the 12th house. So I definitely can speak to this. But there's also this element while the moon will be in Scorpio with the South Node there. There's an element of it where it's like you could take these smallest little things and really dramatize them and then get really hot and cold over those dramatizations. Scorpio does like to make drama. Come on, all the fixed signs are drama. Let's just be real. All the fixed signs can be very, very dramatic. All right. So that's the thing. It's just they're dramatic in different ways, right? They're just dramatic in different ways. Typically, the most exciting ones are Leo and Scorpio, because it's this fixed water and this fixed fire. Generally, the less dramatic ones, or at least seemingly, but they're just as dramatic, if not more, is Taurus and Aquarius. It's just how it goes because people like fire, people like the Leo energy, people like Scorpio energy because Scorpio's the bad guy, right? Scorpio plays the bad guy typically. But now that the moon will be in Scorpio without the South Node, it's going to feel like a major release. It's going to be sort of like a wow. It's like things are deep, but they don't have to be that deep all the time. You know what I mean? South Node going into Scorpio with the moon going into Scorpio with the South Node there was like, even though it's interesting, sometimes the South Node can actually be shallow. Sometimes we go through the South Node because it's that quick, easy fix. But with it being Scorpio, whenever the moon will go there, it's like learning how to swim. And your first place where you learn how to swim is not like a kiddie pool, or it's not like, a basic pool that you will learn how to swim in. It's like the ocean. And that's what we were that was like the last 18 months. Where it's like, okay, it's like you're kind of getting this quick fix energy. You're learning how to swim, if you will, but it's in the ocean. And that's just how it was. Now the moon's going to go to Scorpio, and it's going to be sort of like this sigh of release emotionally, even though the moon doesn't like to be in Scorpio, much rather be exalted over here in Taurus, but at the very least, the South Node's not there anymore. So this moon of Scorpio is actually going to be like a sigh of relief. It's going to be like, oh, because you will notice certain situations may come up, especially with it having gone over the South Node. There are certain situations that will come up that you will, whether you consciously remember it or it's more subconscious, there are going to be different events that come up that rhyme or mimic things that happened in the past, and you're not going to have the same reaction. Your reaction to it's going to be a lot more muted. And if those things build up over time, you start to really pay attention to it, you realize that, especially like with the Scorpio energy, we don't really have a lot of major energy besides like the personal planets that will come there, like Mars and Venus and Mercury and the moon and the sun, right? But we don't have a lot of major energies coming there for a while, right? The nodes just left, so they're not going to be there for a while. Like the next closest is Uranus. Well, I mean, I guess we'll have Jupiter that will be there, of course. But then, yeah, it's like beyond that, like Uranus it's going to take a while for Uranus to get there. Same with Chiron, Neptune. Saturn will get there in some times, but we don't have a lot of major energy coming through Scorpio for a while. So there's actually going to be some relief when it comes to this area. And thank God we need it. Like we really do need that. So it's going to come over those nodes. It's going to highlight it, right? It's going to join up in the T square. And it's interesting how it hits the south node first. The first time since the nodes have shifted, the moon will hit the south node first. I think that that's interesting. And I do think that everything is by the divine design. I think it just shows how many ways we had to go through the south node to reach the north node, right? It's not like you're just born and you're just automatically knowing what your path is. You're just going towards your north node, right? That's just not generally the way it works. Generally, you go through your south node and you learn about that energy so you can get to the north node, because you won't necessarily know what you need to do or what you want until you go through what you don't necessarily need or what you don't want, or you have like the base. Generally, the south node kind of gives the energy of like your starter pack, if you will. It's your starter pack. It's like a lot of times it's like a lot of the gifts that you bring into this life, and the north node is what you like develop. South node is sort of like, it's like the basic stuff. It's like your family name. It's like where you were born. It's like those basic sort of things. It's like the base character. And the north node is what you are after you have gone through the whole journey and you add this ability and that ability and so forth. And then you come more to the north node. You can stifle that progress and that development. And we all go through periods where we develop our north node more than others. There are other times where we're a lot more on our south node because we almost have to go back to basics, if you will, right? So the fact that the moon's going over the south node, we're kind of having to go back to, as a collective, sort of like the basics of the Libra energy, right? So that's we kind of have to go back. It's like I said, it's by design. We kind of have to go back to those basics, if you will. Now, this is definitely going to highlight a lot of people's inability to make decisions, because this is about indecision. This can also go down to I feel like Libra is very great at delegating responsibilities in many ways. It's probably why Saturn is exalted in Libra, is an element of like delegating responsibilities. And we have to ask ourselves, like, are there certain responsibilities that we may have delegated that, we know that if we had just taken the time to do it ourselves, it would get done right. I think sometimes we can find disappointment because we expect people to do it how we would do it, or to know that, you know what I mean? But they're not going to know that, So I think there's an element here where we have to learn how to properly delegate, like responsibilities, and realize that sometimes, even if we don't necessarily want to do something, or we feel like we don't have the time to do it, sometimes it's just best to do it ourselves. Like, no one's going to do it like you do it, So I think there's that element too. Now, of course, we do have that first quarter square that the moon is also going to make too. It's going to be at 2 degrees. Now, of course, we're going to be leading up to, of course, that full moon in Aquarius. But we do get this here energy. It's happening at 2 degrees. So it does make this a rather emotional degree. Being that it's 2, it's a very reflective kind of energy, right? But it's interesting because even though this is a challenging aspect, the fact that the south node is non-Scorpio anymore, it's going to present itself as something kind of, I would say, like small, kind of elementary, kind of like, sorry, I thought I heard something on the game. It's going to present itself as something that's a little bit smaller in nature. Not that it's not going to be a serious situation potentially, but it's going to be something that's going to be a little bit smaller. Something that you probably have done before. And there's going to be this element like, well, we may feel, and remember the moon is in the decan ruled by Pluto. And Pluto, of course, is here. Where am I looking? Pluto, of course, is here at the edge of Capricorn. So there's some influence there, especially since the moon just squared Pluto earlier in the day. So there's certainly some influence there. We can definitely get caught up emotionally about where society is and how it's developed to this point, how we may contribute and how we may be responsible for some of the things in society that we may not necessarily like, or we may realize that we might have fed into it. And then there can be the sort of conflict that comes up. It's like, well, how do I remedy this situation? How do I deal with the emotions. How do I deal with how I feel about how I might have contributed to something that I now see as a problem or something that needs to be upgraded? Is it my responsibility to do something about it, or is that someone else's responsibility to do something about it? And that's why I think this really comes down to the individual and the self. Like I say, let's just take, for example, here's a problem, right? So let's just take, I believe that we have a problem with obesity in America. I don't believe, I know we have a problem with obesity in America, right? Now, my contribution to that is the fact that I do enjoy sweets, and I have made purchasing. I've used my purchasing power to buy junk food in the past, and I've bought it I buy junk food now on occasion too. And while it seems like my particular contribution may not seem much, you multiply that times a million, and then you build a demand, right? So that's the thing about this. Sometimes we think that our impact is so small, but it should actually be really, really big. Now, am I directly responsible for the obesity epidemic that is in America? No, but my decisions have influenced it, even if it's just very small, because of the data of that transaction, and people see that, oh, there's a demand for this thing, let's put more of it out there, and sugar is addictive and stuff. So that's just a small example. Now, what can I personally do about it? Are we going to get caught up on trying to change the world, and are we going to be feeling super responsible for all of the world's problems, even though we don't need to carry that weight? We don't need to carry that weight, right? That's not on us. Or do we just make our small little impact? So what will be my small little impact is to buy less junk food and to exercise more, and to just spread more health awareness stuff. If I so choose to do that, I work out. I do generally buy less junk food. There's several different things that I know if I buy, I'm screwed. Oreos, Nutty Bars, or Nutty Buddies as they call them, and sugar wafers. It's like my main three from a sugar standpoint. That I know if I buy them, they're gonna be gone. I'm doing a whole line of Oreos. Okay, like it just is what it is. So I don't buy them that often, but I do appreciate them when they're around. I'm not gonna just completely X things out of my life, but this is definitely gonna be a moment where we may, in a weird way, start to feel emotionally responsible for all of the world's problems, or just thinking that there's just so much going on here. But we have to realize that teamwork makes the dream work, and we just have to do our little part. We have to do our individual part. The sun here, the remedy to this is to just simply shine and be your authentic self. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to. But like, if you get so caught up on what is ending, or just, we got to understand that things are transforming and shifting forever. You know what I mean? So that's the thing about this. We got a slight little bit of a taste of that when Pluto went into Aquarius. And everyone likes to say that Scorpio and Aquarius don't get along, but they're like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because my wife is an Aquarius, so I actually have a little more insight into this. But I swear, Scorpio and Aquarius are like undercover best friends. Like, I tell you, I could just be biased, but I really do think that they're just undercover best friends. Like Pluto and Uranus, like they kind of get each other, like for real. Like it's it's interesting, Yeah, it's like Uranus will do things, and Pluto will be like, I don't know why you have to be extra, but cool. Because that's the thing. Everyone likes to think that Leo's the only one that's Aquarius is extra too. They just do it in a much more, it's a little bit more covert when Aquarius is extra. That's the thing about it. But yeah, sometimes Uranus will do things where Pluto's like, yeah, why are you being so extra, Uranus? And then Uranus will be like, Pluto, you literally did that thing the other day. And Pluto's gonna be like, yeah, so like it's like that's kind of their relationship. They try to like, it's almost like they're trying to one up each other on their extraness. And I think honestly that's all the big signs too. So because they just be extra. But like I said, I digress. I do think that this square, even though it is a challenging aspect, I think it's going to be a little bit lighter considering the fact that the South Node is not there. And maybe we just won't necessarily feel, because before when the moon was going through here, we would just feel the depth of emotion of the world in general, right? Now it's going to be in Libra and in Aries. It's going to be a little bit lighter. It may be a little bit dramatic just because we have the Aries energy and Chiron is here and stuff. But things are definitely going to be a little bit more highlighted and stuff as far as that sort of energy goes. If like, oh my gosh, if you think victim culture and victim currency is big now, just look at the next 18 months. But the thing is that I think we're going to be so nauseated by it. It's not going to be like, we're going to be like, okay, come on, right? You know what I mean? Because you're going to get both, you're going to get two examples. You're going to get the examples of the people that only focus on the pain and use that as a jumping point, a platform for success. And then you're going to see the people that talk about their pain and embrace the pain, but also talk about how it got them to do something else or to strive for something else or to build something else. And then that is like their platform. The pain is just the backstory. It's not the actual meat of the thing. It's just the backstory. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. It's like, there's going to be two different narratives. You're going to see it over the next 18 months with this aspect here. So, said this square with the moon and the sun, it's going to feel a little bit lighter. It's going to be emotional, yes, but it's not going to feel as deep. It's not going to feel as colossal and as immense because the South Node has now shifted. And the moon in Scorpio, surprisingly, can finally just kind of breathe a bit, right? So that's the main stuff as far as astrologically that's happening. I don't know why I look so yellow. I guess it's because of the light here, but I look yellow. Or am I just tripping? Like, I don't know. But yeah, I look a little yellow, but it is what it is. So let's get into the cards for the day. So. And yeah, let's get into the cards for today. I'm not gonna lie, before popping on to this video, I was having a little bit of anxiety because I kept getting like these synchronicities, different numbers I was saying, and I was just like, well, because it was funny too, because I was having a thought of something that I can do for the future for this channel, something I thought was really cool, and of course, I got a little nervous thinking about it, as sometimes, what's happened, as that can happen, when you're thinking of something new, is like, oh, I can do that, and then like, especially with me, I have a tendency now to like get nervous about it. I was like, am I ready for something like that? Can I do that? And then I start to feel it in my stomach and everything. I had some water. I did go to the bathroom, but I had some water. And then I went into the kitchen and I saw another sign. I'm like, okay, I guess this is just what it is. So, and then I was about to actually hit my CBD vape. There's no THC in here. I was about to hit that. And then something told me, it was like, no, rely on you right now. Rely on you. Don't need that right now, even though it's CBD. I'm like, you know what? Cool. Took a deep breath, popped on here, and I felt like this was a very awesome astrology forecast. I am going to toot my own horn, especially now that the sun is in Leo. Yeah, I'm going to gas myself up a little bit, okay? Like, I think some people, there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of people in the spiritual community that just will not gas themselves up. No, it's like, go ahead and gas yourself up. Oh, come on, take the shot. And it got blocked. Yeah. Whoa! Too many cards fell out. I gotta reshuffle those. There's too many that came out that time. So it's interesting whenever you get like a new deck. It's like you have to like shuffle it several times. I did like a really long shuffle on this when I first got the cards. So before I even drew anything the first time. You just have the High Priestess on the bottom of the deck. So the High Priestess. And then interesting. Okay, yeah. We have the High Priestess, right? We have the Six of Swords, right? But we also have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. This is definitely asking ourselves, there's going to be this moment today. I feel like this High Priestess card is definitely the moon, like going into Scorpio. But then I feel like the Six of Swords is like the North Node in Aries. And again, the Six of Disc is like the South Node in Libra. That's what I'm really getting here. It's like we're being called to go on a journey right now, but it's going to come with, maybe pulling back a little bit, not necessarily. I think there's a thing here where it's like maybe we've been a little too charitable with our energy. Maybe we've been a little bit too charitable with even maybe the help that we may give in certain areas. But there's this calling where we want to go like on this other journey, if you will, this journey of self-discovery. And you can't necessarily go on those journeys if you're constantly invested in maybe giving to situations that aren't really providing back to you any type of value. And not that you do things to get things, but we kind of do things to get things. Let's be real. You know what I mean? Let's not sugarcoat it. Yeah, we do things to get things, but it's about developing that deeper love also too, right? It's about developing like a deeper connection. I think with the Six of Discs in reverse, it's calling us to remind ourselves of who to invest into, and making sure that we don't give too much of ourselves, because if we give too much of ourselves, then we can't really be in our true power, because we'll be constantly energetically drained. The Six of Swords is saying that we can kind of go on this new journey, if you will, and like really move forward and communicate that effectively. I love how it's like, I almost feel like the swords are, even though it's not, it almost kind of feels like it is like the wheel, but it's just like kind of, illuminated in the sky. So maybe she's like actually like holding the wheel and actually like driving this little thing, although it looks more like a canoe, if you will. But yeah, there's definitely this element where we're going to be kind of caught between these two different worlds and trying to figure out, this is about really trusting our gut, trusting our intuition. I'll draw another card too, because I've been doing that lately for like these. Oh yeah, so we got the Queen of Cups, right? Yeah, this is why I'm feeling like this moon in Scorpio is actually not going to be super crazy. I really don't. Even though she has the crab above her, so it definitely talks about the moon. It talks about Cancer energy, but talks about the crab. And then I guess I'm not sure what these are. Maybe albatrosses or something, some type of seabird. But she's just sitting there. She's super calm. You know what I mean? She does have a bit of a stern look, but she doesn't seem like very worried. She doesn't seem very worried. So I think there's this moment where it's like, if we were calm today and we just, in the midst of, I think there's an element where maybe people may come to you for help today and maybe come to you and want some sort of energetic exchange, if you will, that may kind of drain your energy, but maybe you kind of turn a blind eye to how it may drain you and you kind of just do things to keep the peace. But then you're not necessarily going to be able to give them as much today because you are going on this other journey, if you will, today. And you're kind of just, I'm not going to say I'm going to say it, even though that's not what I'm saying, the whole take your power back, whatever. This is more so just like redistributing your power and redistributing your energy and stuff like that. And sometimes when people redistribute their energy and who and what they give it to and how much amounts it is, sometimes that can inflame people and they can get upset. And one is like, why are you pulling back? It's like, I'm not. And it's like you're more so redistributing it. Sometimes it's not even intentional. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just like you realize that you want to give more energy to this area, and like the energy naturally gets redistributed. And then sometimes people can get kind of upset about that. It's because they're not really giving enough energy to themselves. They're requiring your attention. They're requiring you to provide that sort of boost for them. And there could be some discussions today around that. There could be some potential people that are upset about it, but this is all about, you can't just take on everyone's burdens, you know what I'm saying? There's a level of personal responsibility that does come with this energy. There's a level of personal responsibility that's definitely going to come with the fact that these nodes have shifted. So, and not everyone's going to like that, but you just got to kind of, find your way through it, be easy on yourself, don't be too harsh on yourself, but, just take it step by step, day by day. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what we got here. Yeah, it's interesting here. We got the card of the llama. The card of the llama. Let courage lead you to seek support and overcome a fear of intimacy. It's very interesting. I think this is sort of like maybe we are retracting from situations and maybe we're retracting energy from places that don't really give us the intimacy that we're looking for, and not this whole surface level thing. You know what I mean? I think it's interesting with that South node, now that's not in Scorpio, maybe we have just been kind of playing in the shallow part of the Scorpio energy, because it's looking like that quick fix kind of energy. And this now the moon going into Scorpio kind of allows us to kind of dive deep, if you will, have the courage to dive a little bit deeper and find what's really going to sustain us emotionally, and something that's not necessarily just like kind of short term. You know what I'm saying? And it's okay to kind of just reach out. You know what I mean? I think there's an element here that maybe we're the one that's going to be asking. You know, six of discs in the reverse is like maybe you're the one that's sort of asking for someone to kind of help you see something a little bit differently. You know what I mean? So I think there's definitely going to be like this sort of balance of like, you know, kind of going within, but also acknowledging that we do need each other, and it's good to seek out other people. And maybe it's just simply watching a video like this, or watching like an inspirational, uplifting thing on YouTube or something. You know, just something to kind of give you like the nice little boost to kind of get you through the day. And yeah, like I said, I think we all are looking for intimacy right now. That we don't necessarily know what to call it, but there's definitely this element where it's like this human interaction is kind of dying. I think there's a lot of people that are just sort of like wishing that's not the case. You know what I mean? It's like it was like almost sort of craving, like just I don't want it to be where I go to a store and I never talk to someone because I just self checkout everything and it's all just controlled by robots. Like I want to talk to somebody. And then there's this element where it's like we sort of have gotten away from doing all jobs honorably, no matter where you are. I think that's something that's lost, is doing your job honorably, no matter where you are, whether you're working at a fast food place, whether you work in a retail location, whether you have your own business that's only like 10 people, 50, 100, 1,000. There's something that's been lost there. You know what I mean? And just doing it honorably. It doesn't necessarily have to be the thing that you have to do for the rest of your life, or like the thing that's your big purpose. Like if you want to be like a painter, but you find yourself working at Starbucks, do your job at Starbucks honorably. That's what we're missing. I don't know where that came from, but that's just what we're missing. And I think it's like that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that energy. We're looking for intimacy. And intimacy is not just sex, too. That's the thing about it. It's not just sex. We're looking for realness. We're looking for boldness. We're looking for life. We're not just looking for like a, hey, how you doing? Just like, I don't know. When I meet those people that are doing jobs that I know maybe like they're only their first job, maybe their second job, or shoot, maybe they've been in retail their whole life. You know, maybe they haven't quite manifested their dreams yet. You know, but maybe they're still working on. Maybe they've given it up. But those people that are just happy anyways, they really make a difference. It's not necessarily like the supervisor in, you know, a Fortune 500 company at a local office. Sometimes it's the person that takes your order at the fast food restaurant and they're just in a good mood. That is what we're missing. You know, that's what we're trying to get back to. And I think that is something that we're going to just, I think you're going to see both sides of it with this North Node and South Node having shifted into the Aries Libra axis. Like you're going to see people just be themselves and just be happy and just try to do an honorable job, even if they're working in seemingly like the worst place. And you're also going to see the opposite of it too, where it's just sort of like, you know, I don't know, indecisive, not really connecting with guests, just kind of there, you know, kind of faceless, gray blob, if you will. So this whole like last 5 minutes has been like a total just like me channeling, but I guess it just had to go into the video. So, but anyways, that's going to do it for your astrology forecast today. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. If you would like a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. As always, y'all take care, stay blessed, have a lovely day. I will see you all for the Wednesday astrology forecast. Peace out. Take care. Stay blessed.